There's so much to cover. More and more Republicans speaking out, finally, against President Trump's policy of separating migrant families at the southern border. Casey Hunt will tell us what's happening on Capitol Hill. And Attorney General Jeff Sessions pushing back against those who are drawing comparisons to Nazi Germany, arguing that the Nazis were keeping Jews from leaving the country. So we'll have that sound for you. We appreciate his explanation as to why that parallel doesn't work. But first, we want to get into the performance we saw yesterday by Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen.
I would love to see if I can help explain some of what's going on and give you some of the facts.
So what you're about to hear are not facts. It's actually deceit. It feels a lot like twisted truth and evasion, and some lies.
MS-13 have violated our borders and gained a deadly foothold within the United States.
Yeah. Problem is, this 2-year-old girl is not a member of MS-13.
It is not possible, as a matter of law, to detain and remove whole family units.
Yeah. It's actually not the law. It's Donald Trump's policy. And it is happening. Children are being separated from their families. Reporters like Jacob Soboroff and Gadi Schwartz and Mariana Atencio have been showing us the horrific facts and pictures and video of families separated. Families are being torn apart. Who in America could do this?
Congress and the courts created this problem, and Congress alone can fix it.
I'm sorry, Secretary Nielsen, you're incorrect. This is not the case. But don't listen to me. Take it from Senator Susan Collins.
That's amazing that she said that.
Yeah. Keep on going, Madam Secretary, because the world is watching and listening to you.
This administration did not create a policy of separating families at the border.
It appears the Attorney General disagrees with you. And you work for the same Commander-in-Chief. It's his policy.
If you are smuggling a child, then we will prosecute you. And that child may be separated from you as required by law.
All of you appear to be failing the country. You said there's no policy to separate families. Jeff Sessions says there is. Why not take another crack at it again? The world is watching. You're on the record. Go.
We will separate those who claim to be a parent and child.
Oh, so you do separate families, those who claim to be a parent and child. Why did you tweet on Sunday, quote, "We do not have a policy of separating families"?
Parents can still communicate with their children through phone calls and video conferencing.
Video conferencing. Okay, with a baby, maybe an infant, ripped from her mother's arms. That's comforting from you. Besides, NBC News reports that it's exceedingly rare for parents to be able to call their children in this situation, if it happens at all.
Members of Congress on the Democratic side say that you are using children as a lever to try to get them to take legislative action. What do you say to that?
I say that is a very cowardly response.
It is cowardly to do that. Speaking of, by the way, the world's watching and you're on the record, for history to remember forever, here's your boss, the president.
The Democrats can come to us as they actually are, in all fairness, we are talking to them, and they can change the whole border security. We need a wall.
Okay, so if the Democrats give the president his border wall, this policy stops, that actually makes them pawns. That makes them leverage. Madam Secretary, you seem extremely confused.
Have you seen the photos of children in cages?
Some have referred to them as cages, but keep in mind, this is a great big warehouse facility where they built walls out of chain link fences.
Okay, thanks, Trump TV. So not cages, just walled cells of chain link fences. Okay, that's information directly, I guess, from Trump TV.
Policy is not, by your definition, in any way cruel.
It's not a policy.
You seem to struggle on that one, and you didn't answer the question. Let me help you out. Ripping children from their parents is cruel, it's inhumane, and it's weakening our nation's standing around the world. NBC's Kristen Welker tried to ask you a very simple question.
Why is the government only releasing images of the boys who are being held? Where are the girls? Where are the young toddlers?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with those particular images.
You don't know. You're not familiar with the pictures the government released under your authority. Kristen Welker, please continue.
You're saying that they are being well cared for. So how do we make that claim if we don't know where they are?
It's not that I don't know where they are. I'm saying that the vast majority of children are held by Health and Human Services.
So where are the girls? Where are the toddlers? Kristen asked about the photos.
Anything other than they're just the pictures.
Your department has been aired all over national television throughout the day. The kids who are being held in the cages. We've only seen the boys.
I will look into that. I'm not aware that there's another picture. Yes.
Okay, so you'll look into it. The Secretary of Homeland Security doesn't know where they are, but she will look into it.
If you're seeking asylum, go to a port of entry.
Some people turn away from ports of entry.
That actually is incorrect. We have limited resources. We will tell people that come to the border they need to come back.
Okay, so we're incorrect. People who are fleeing for their lives need to come back at a more convenient time for the government.
Now, are you intending for parents to be separated from their children? Are you intending to send a message?
I find that offensive. No, because why would I ever create a policy that purposely does that?
So then I think you think Jeff Sessions is offensive. Cue the AG.
Hopefully people will get the message and come through the border at the port of entry and not break across the border unlawfully.
Just ask White House advisor Stephen Miller, quote, "The message is that no one is exempt from immigration law."
Will it continue to require the separation of parents from their children until the president gets exactly what he wants?
If Congress closes the loopholes, many of which are closed in the two bills that we hope are taken up this week by the House, then they close the loopholes, and the families will stay together throughout the proceedings. Thank you.
Do you believe the policy is a deterrent? Why?
So they are pawns. Since the DHS secretary was so unsure for information, so unsure of where this situation came from, so unsure of whether it was a policy or a law, so unsure of even the location of the girls and toddlers, and so unsure as to whether or not this was abusive or not, maybe this will help. Though NBC News cannot independently verify these recordings' authenticity, here now is the sound of children being torn from their families. This is what it sounds like. I have her number memorized. So, Willie, that was the Department of Homeland Security Secretary trying to comment on this policy yesterday. Failing miserably, in my opinion.
Well, she's wrong that this is about Democrats, that this is about Congress. This is a policy. I mean, we've said it a million times over the last couple of weeks. This is a policy that the Trump administration could, with a red line, eliminate this morning. The president could do that. He could stop this. Yeah. Let's be clear about that.
Republicans.
The other thing we should be clear about is that this is intentional. This is about deterrence. As you just pointed out, Jeff Sessions said so out loud. Stephen Miller has said so out loud. Time and again, if you ask Republicans, they say, why are you doing this? The phrase I hear is that it's, quote, a tough deterrent. That this is going to stop people from entering this country illegally. This is a premeditated, intentional policy. The idea that it's cooked up by Democrats or that it's Congress's fault is totally false. And we saw an increasing number of Republicans speaking out yesterday against President Trump's policy of separating families at the border. Kansas Senator Pat Roberts said, while I firmly support enforcing our immigration laws, I am against using parental separation as a deterrent to illegal immigration. My concern, first and foremost, is the protection of the children. Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, another Republican, said, a policy that leads to separating children from their families is wrong. The White House can fix it if they want to, I don't think there's any question about that. And Senator John McCain tweeted, the administration's current family separation policy is an affront to the decency of the American people and contrary to principles and values upon which our nation was founded. The administration has the power to rescind this policy. It should do so now. Junior members also speaking out. Senator Ben Sass of Nebraska posting to Facebook, this is wrong. Americans do not take children hostage, period. The president should immediately end this family separation policy. Last night, Senator Ted Cruz released legislation for faster deportations and asylum processing, but also to keep families together in the process.
All of us who are seeing these images of children being pulled away from moms and dads in tears, we're horrified. This has to stop. Kids need their moms and dads, and we can keep the families together while these cases are pending.
So, Casey Hunt,